There's a lot of women, a lot of the feminist types, the educated feminist types who are, either really thrilled about Kamala. I think I'm pronouncing her name wrong now, Kamala. And, are still clinging to the same narrative that we saw back in 2016, which is that Trump and Vance are misogynists, that they're dangerous, that they hate democracy, that they're fascist, that they hate women. And this has been sort of driving me a bit crazy because I feel like I'm like, have you guys not been paying attention? And this isn't because I necessarily love Trump or even that I don't think these guys are misogynists. I don't know them. They're not my friends. I don't know how they feel about women in their real life. I can see how JD Vance, I can see how he is with his wife and who he chose as a partner, who I think is a very impressive woman. Trump has a bad track record with women for sure. But, to me, you're not necessarily picking your perfect candidate. The Democrats stand for nothing. The Democrats have thrown women under the bus for many years now around this gender identity issue. They've used the abortion/reproductive rights issue as a carrot to dangle in front of women, to fearmonger them. And women have totally fallen for it again and again and again. And I mean, what do you make of that? I mean, I think that what I'm frustrated by, and I don't know if there's a resolution, is like, how do you get people to change their minds? And that doesn't mean I'm not necessarily trying to convince people to vote for anything or anybody in particular, but I want them to see that the Democrats have lied this whole time in a wide variety of ways. They lied to them about Biden. They've obviously lied to them about Trump for years. They've lied to them about what they stand for. They've lied to them about caring for women or minorities. Yet, these people are still clinging to the same narratives.
I'm really struggling with that too, like how to get my message out in a way that widens my potential audience rather than shrinking it.
Yeah.
It's really hard. I totally agree with you. Kamala Harris is one of these people who walks around giving out her pronouns as she, her, or whatever. And meanwhile, Trump got the pro-life language out of the GOP party platform for the first time in 40 years. There's nothing in there demonizing abortion or saying we're the party of life. A huge coup that took like no small amount of like maneuvering and plotting and like really disappointing and angering the elites of his party. And he couldn't care less because he wants to represent voters who want abortion to be legal for 15 weeks like he does. So I agree with you totally. And I despair about this exact question. Like, how do you reach people on the other side? And unfortunately, they sort of close ranks against anybody who, who doesn't have the right message. And it's funny because if you hate Trump, that opens a lot of doors. So you can be pretty conservative. If you hate Trump, you could be a pro-life Republican and, get on CNN, get on MSNBC, like it's kind of like that Monty Python scene, where they're like, how much do you hate the Romans? And he's like, a lot. And they're like, right, you're in, like that you have to sort of pass that gauntlet. And if you've become convinced that that's simply that you can't hate this man, that he does, he has, in some ways, he is a better reflection of the electorate and thus, a very, very robust example of American democracy working, you get really sidelined. And the things people say to me are like so gross. Like anytime you say anything positive about his message, a message that resonates with millions and millions and millions of forgotten Americans, they'll just insult you in the worst terms. And it's so amazing because Trump was the first president in probably 60 years to shrink the wealth gap in America, like to shrink income inequality, which like you probably didn't know. I mean,
No.
Because the people who like allegedly care about that would never tell you that. And So, you know, a lot of what they say rings hollow now, but so on the one hand, there's a part of me that's like, no, I want to be scathing. I want to show the hypocrisy in in the sharpest way possible so that all of these people who have been gaslit for so long can feel that release that you feel when somebody says the truth and you no longer are being lied to. Like, it's a really amazing feeling and important feeling. But then part of me is like, no, Batya, like, speak in the most calm, you know, like least divisive way possible, especially in this moment. Like, we're all trying to bring down the temperature. Like, how can you get this message out there in a way that other people could hear it? And then people say, I mean, no one on the other side is listening. Like, no one wants to hear it. Like, just, you know what I mean? So I'm a long way of saying I'm struggling with what you're struggling with too.